Happiness can be found even in the darkest of times, if only one remembers to turn on the light. Hey, I'm Anika and welcome back to A Stories. Today we are going to talk about the book Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban is the third book of the well-known Harry Potter series written by J.K. Rowling, which revolves around the life of Harry Potter and the adventures that he encounters at the Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry, accompanied by his best friends Ron Weasley and Hermione Granger. Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban was first published on the 8th of July 1999. This book is mainly based on the 13-year-old Harry's third year at the Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry and the new threats that come with it. Some of the new characters that have been introduced in this book are Remus Lupin, Sirius Black, Peter Pettigrew, Sybil Trelawney, Aunt Marge, Stan Stunpike, Ernie Prang, Cornelius Fudge, Cedric Diggory, Cho Chang, Madame Rosmerta, Buckbeak and Crookshanks. The story begins on the night before Harry's 13th birthday when he receives gifts by the Owl Post from his friends. The next day witnesses the entrance of Aunt Marge, who doesn't leave a single opportunity to insult Harry and his parents. Harry naturally gets angry and he accidentally inflates Aunt Marge like a balloon. Harry then leaves the house in a fit of rage and is then picked up by the amazing magical night bus after the mysterious and alarming sighting of a huge black dog. The night bus drops Harry off at Diagon Alley, where he is greeted by the Minister of Magic himself, Cornelius Fudge. He stays there and awaits the beginning of the term. After some time, he finds his friends, Ron and Hermione. Hermione buys a cat named Crookshanks from a pet shop, who immediately starts chasing Ron's pet rat, Scabbers, and Ron is naturally not at all pleased about it. Harry then overhears Ron's parents discussing the fact that the escaped inmate of Azkaban, the magical prison, Sirius Black, is actually after Harry. The next day, the students board the Hogwarts Express, and on their way to the school, they are stopped by these terrifying creatures called Dementors. Harry even faints when one of them comes near him and is rescued by none other than their new Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher, Remus Lupin. Soon after, the classes start at Hogwarts and we see some new things. We get to see the strange professor Sybil Trelawney, the divination teacher who foresees Harry's death using tea leaves and talks about the Grim, which is a huge dog symbolizing death. We also get to see Hagrid as a teacher for the very first time. This year, Hagrid is the teacher of care of magical creatures. On the very first day, Hagrid introduces the students to the hippogriffs, who are large, dignified crosses between eagles and horses. Malfoy gets himself injured quite stupidly by insulting one of the hippogriffs, Buckbeak. Malfoy later uses this injury to get Hagrid sacked and to get Buckbeak killed. In the Defense Against the Dark Arts class, Professor Lupin introduces the students to the Boggart, a creature who can shapeshift to appear as the viewer's greatest fear. Everybody was given a chance to tackle the Boggart using Ridiculous, except for Harry and Hermione. Harry thought he wasn't given a chance because of his fainting on the train earlier. Harry later discovers the real reason behind this, which was that Lupin assumed that the boggart would turn into Lord Voldemort himself if Harry was to tackle it. But in his mind, Harry realizes that he is, at the moment, more afraid of the Dementors than Voldemort. This was followed by Sirius Black's advent at Hogwarts and the encounter with the Dementors in the Quidditch field, which led to the loss of the Gryffindors in the match and the destruction of Harry's most favorite Nimbus 2000. During Harry's forbidden visit to the village of Hogsmeade, Fred and George give him the Marauders map, written by the mysterious group Moony, Wormtail, Padfoot and Prongs. The only way to reveal the secrets of the map is by saying, "I solemnly swear that I am up to no good," after touching the parchment with the wand. In Hogsmeade, Harry overhears Cornelius Fudge discussing Sirius Black's responsibility in his parents' death, as well as the death of Peter Pettigrew, who was supposedly blown to bits, leaving only a finger behind. Harry also receives a firebolt, which is the most impressive racing broom in the world, on Christmas. But unfortunately, it is taken away by Professor McGonagall. After the holidays, Harry practices the Patronus charm with Professor Lupin to fight off Dementors in case of any further encounters. Then Ron finds evidence that Crookshanks has eaten Scabbers and is absolutely furious at Hermione. Later, they discover Ron's rat, which was inside Hagrid's milk jug when they visit him on the day of the execution of Buckbeak. Then they leave Hagrid's hut and Buckbeak is executed. While leaving Hagrid's hut, they are attacked by a large black dog who drags Ron under the Whomping Willow. Harry and Hermione follow them after Crookshanks finds the secret knob to stop the flailing tree. They go under the tree and find themselves in the Shrieking Shack. There they discover that the dog was actually Sirius Black. But before Harry could try avenging his parents' death, Lupin enters and disarms him. Then Lupin and Black embrace each other and then tell Harry the real story behind all this. They tell him that Lupin is a werewolf. Sirius Black, Peter Pettigrew and Harry's father were actually Animagi, and they were best friends at Hogwarts. Severus Snape suddenly reveals himself from under Harry's fallen invisibility cloak. But Harry, Ron and Hermione disarm him all at the same time, knocking him out. Then Lupin and Black tell Harry that the real culprit behind Harry's parents' death was not Black, but Peter Pettigrew himself. Peter Pettigrew had been hiding all these years, disguised as Scabbers, Ron's pet rat. Lupin transforms Pettigrew into his own self and makes him confess the truth. Then they all head back to Hogwarts, but unfortunately there is a full moon and Lupin turns into a werewolf. Sirius then has to turn into the dog to protect Harry, Hermione and Ron and drive Lupin into the woods. Just then a swarm of Dementors approach and Sirius is paralyzed with fear. One of the Dementors even try to suck the soul out of Harry, whose Patronus charm is just not strong enough. But suddenly, out of nowhere, a Patronus comes and drives all the Dementors away, saving Harry and Sirius. Later, Harry wakes up in the hospital wing and overhears Fudge discussing the fact that Black is about to be given the fatal Dementor's kiss. Harry and Hermione protest, but to no avail. But then, with Dumbledore's suggestion, Hermione takes Harry back in time using her time turner that she has been using all year to get to her classes. They are not only able to save Sirius Black's life, but also Buckbeak's, and then they help them escape together. We also get to know that Harry was the person who conjured the Patronus that was strong enough to drive all the Dementors away. The next day, Harry finds out that Professor Lupin is leaving because of the previous night's events. The book ends on the Hogwarts Express when the students are on their way back home. Harry receives a letter from Sirius Black that contains a Hogsmeade permission letter, and the letter also confirms the fact that he was the one who sent the firebolt. There is practically nothing that I dislike about the book, except for the fact that Professor Lupin had to leave, because in my opinion, he was the best defense against the dark arts teacher that Harry ever had. What I like about the book is everything, starting from the friendship of Ron, Hermione, and Harry to the introduction of Sirius Black, who is now as close to Harry as a father. Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban is a book for the readers of magic, fantasy, and fairy tales. I would recommend this book to teenagers, young adults, and anyone who likes to live a fantasy. I absolutely love the book and the entire series, so it's really hard for me to rate it. But on a scale of 10, it gets a solid 8. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you did, please leave a like and a comment, and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.